Why should founders not neglect their early customers? Hi, Patrick from Founder Revenue Academy. This episode is part of our Propositions series and is episode number 7. So let's get started. When you're starting out, there are a few milestones that are worth considering. So that number one customer, that first case study, the first 5-figure deal, first 100K of revenue, and the list goes on and on and on. So the goals get bigger and more audacious as the progress is felt, which is the natural state. But those first few customers often hold the keys to your success. So that first yes, that first signature that there are going to be fans of what you're doing is evidence in people agreeing to proceed. So to be first often means something is slightly different about them. So they're risk takers, they're definitely not Luddites, and they want in on the action. It's a bit like those people who queue outside the Apple store for the new iPhone. There is a psychology behind being the first purchaser. And that is the psychology you're tapping into when you onboard your first customer. So be aware though, one customer is not evidence of product market fit. This takes a lot longer, and it's another reason why nurturing these early adopters is so important. So as a founder, you simply have to overinvest into these first customers because they've shown faith in you and your product. So you really have to repay them. You owe it to yourself and to them really to repay it. So this might sound very obvious and simple to state, but given the amount founders have to think about, all the different moving parts and what have you, when a signature has been received, then you might go on to the next thing. But that post-sales, post-signature environment and feeling is where the investment of time and effort really begins. So I've worked in businesses where the sales part of getting a new client is caring, it's responding quickly, it's attentive, it's helping out wherever you can. But as soon as the deal is signed, everything goes quiet and you get thrown over your shoulder. And so therefore the company gets a reputation of doing everything at all costs to get the sale, but then moving on to the next one without a second thought and dropping that relationship. So it's very clear kind of why you were in the relationship in the first place. So I'm raising this because this does happen quite a lot, especially as you start to get bigger at your company. So just to be aware of it. The other key thing to remember is those first few customers become an extension of your sales force. They bought in early and they love your product. They love the outcomes they get by using it. They will be telling their networks about it. So they are your raving fans. They are your advocates, and you can leverage this relationship only if you overinvest in them as a founder. So sticking close to them, being available, responding to queries as quickly as possible, and managing expectations help go a huge distance in helping secure those next few clients, because you're tapping into word of mouth and referrals, which are some of the best channels of new client acquisition. So what I recommend is, because you're going to be involved in the first 10 or so sales processes, is to stick close to those very first few clients. So ask for case studies, spend time with them, be on their onboarding calls for at least 2 quarters post-signature. So consider these relationships as a credit and debit system. So you need to credit the relationship with time before you can debit. If you don't, you're in a deficit. So this is why customers churn, because they feel neglected, and this is definitely something you can control. So that wraps up today's video. Remember, we create these videos a lot to help our founders and run these mini-series on all the key pillars of scaling B2B tech startups. So if you haven't seen the other videos in this proposition series or the other series at all, please check them out. And also don't forget to join our community, where the link is below, where you'll see all this content and get to interact with many like-minded founders. I'll see you in there.